So hello and welcome back to the Brick Den. Now last week you may have seen my mock showcase which showed my latest mock which depicts the scene from Star Wars The Clone Wars where Darth Maul meets Obi-Wan Kenobi on Raydonia. Because this was a mock built for the Rebellug Darth Maul collab, I had to keep it secret, and so I didn't do a building series which I usually like to do on my mocks to give you an idea of how they're built and show them in a little bit more detail than you see in the mock showcase. So this time I thought I'd do that after the fact, and that's what I'm going to show you in this video. But before you watch this video, if you haven't already seen the Darth Maul mock showcase, please go and watch it. It will give you a much better, closer look at the mock. This video is just more to show you how I built it and the building process. Once you've seen that, come back here if you're interested to find out a little bit more about it. So then, starting from the beginning, and the first thing I did was just look for some source material just to help me build the mock to make it as accurate as possible. Then moving on, I went on to doing some preliminary sketches just to get an idea of the shaping of the mock, because it was going to be freeform, which means it's not built on a base plate, and this was not something that I decided to do, but it came from Rebellug, because all the builds in the Darth Maul collab have to be built in the freeform style to give the mock some continuity. So I decided to explore some different shapes, just so it wasn't just an oblong shape that was just in a freeform style, but had some different angles to it, and I'm happy with how that turned out. When I started building, as you can see now, I started off by building the Jedi Shuttle. A lot of you in the mock showcase were asking in particular how the Jedi Shuttle came together, and hopefully this time lapse will give you an idea of the general structure of this part of the build. Now I'm very happy with how this Jedi Shuttle turned out, but unfortunately it doesn't feature any sort of interior. As you can see how, especially the front part came together, there was no way to put any seating inside that cockpit because of the way I built the round structure. But I didn't really think it was too big of an issue because it's not the focus of the overall mock, it's just a nice little add-on really. So continuing with building, after finishing the structure of the Jedi Shuttle, I moved on to doing some of the panels. Now my aim for this was to try and make it as studless as possible, and that includes the underside, so no anti-studs either. This can be quite challenging, but I wanted to give it a really sleek, finished look to the model. I did have some problems with this, and that's because the model wasn't planned really, but I usually build in quite an improvised style which works well for me, and in the end I was happy with how the model did turn out. Also, as mentioned earlier, the model doesn't include any playability, and that does include the wings. At first I did experiment a little bit with trying to have some sort of adjustability with them, but unfortunately with the scale I was building at and the fact that it wasn't really necessary, I decided to drop that. So now you can see where I got up to with the Jedi Shuttle, and this was before I had to make a Bricklink order to order some of the slopes for the wings and also some tiles. So continuing with the building, I started building the actual main part of the mock, and instead of using base plates I used a freeform technique, just using normal plates, and it did, as I said, have a bit of a strange shape, and that's because it has the main rectangular section with the freeform around the sides, and then also this other bit coming off at an angle. Now this did cause some problems with the rock work and also gaps that I had to cover with plates later on, but I think that gave the rock work a bit more of an organic shape, and if you can see the rocks in the middle with a bit of a strange shape, they are built with mixel joints, which I think turned out quite well. And then moving on from this, I went over to start building the village, which was seen in the show. It was quite hard to find all the angles, so I did use quite a lot of artistic interpretation. Now another thing, as I don't have many tan bricks, so it was quite difficult to build all the tan buildings which we see in the show. But I do have quite a lot of the tiles, so I did use a lot of snot walls in combination with a lot of the grey for the actual bricks, which helped out a lot. However, I did order a Bricklink order for some of the more specialised parts, not any massive Bricklink order for loads of tan pieces. These parts included some pieces to build the really strange vegetation we see on Raydonia, as well as a large dome piece in tan, just to get some of that architecture we see on the planet as well. And then finally, Darth Maul with the robotic legs, as he is very key to the scene and to the collab in general, as it's focusing on his character. After the Bricklink, I quickly finished off the Jedi Shuttle using the parts from the Bricklink, and then moved on to building the part with Darth Maul stood by the building on fire. Now I used the Light My Bricks to light up the fire just to give it an extra layer of detail, and I'm very happy with how that turned out. After that I moved over to doing the rock work on the right hand side, And at this point the MOC was almost complete. All that was left to do was add the vegetation that we see on Raydonia. Now you can see the fire over here and the light my bricks. It doesn't show up too well on camera, but in person and in a darker room it does add quite a nice effect. And then quickly I put in place all the really colourful vegetation and the texturing on the ground, which is an important detail not to forget. So there it is, the MOC is finally complete and I'm so happy with how it turned out. I'd very much appreciate any feedback in the comments below. All that was left to do at this point was to set up for the MOC showcase, film the video and take all the photographs of the MOC. But I very much do hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely stay tuned for some future videos. I'm going to have the final update for Arkham coming out very soon, and then the MOC showcase for that as well. But if you haven't already seen the MOC showcase for the Darth Maul video, which I already mentioned, definitely go and check that out. And also check out all the previous instalments of the Maul collab and all the subsequent instalments as well. I will have links to all of that in the description below. But if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe as well. But most of all, thank you so much for watching.